few weeks ago, we saw Miami players in the Super Bowl. Now we will see a collection that will look to make their mark in the NFL, starting with the NFL Combine toward a Super Bowl berth, possibly for more Miami players in the future, and some coaching holes to address on the coaching staff for 2026. You've arrived at Miami Hurricanes Live, presented by FanDuel, right here at the Voice of College Football. We do appreciate you stopping by as always. It's Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That is your starting time, your kickoff time, your opening bell, all of those good things for Miami football talk here with Cam Underwood from the state of the U. Hey, Cam, how you doing tonight?
Doing all right. Can't complain. First of all, apologies to everybody for last week. Just wasn't feeling it, man. Just I don't know. It was kind of blah. Wasn't really feeling great physically. So had to use a day of PTO, as it were, or whatever. But glad to be back with you guys. Glad to be here talking about Miami Hurricanes. And so we'll do this for a little bit and have a good time.
All right, folks, here we go. We, of course, have Falconer TRX leading us off, kicking us off there in the chat. Falconer, we so much appreciate you and your contributions, your help and support. Follow the lead, everyone. Thank you, Falconer. We appreciate you.
He also wanted to do a little trash talk. Leroy, not so fast, my friend. So
not this time.
Gotta be quick.
Keep a scoreboard between these two.
Oh my good! I mean, it's very lopsided, but actually, recently in the last year, it's been Leroy's been a little competitive.
Right, Cam. I'll lead you off this way. The NFL Combine comes up. I don't know the exact dates, but it's typically right around the 10th of March, something in that range. The second
February 26th to like March.
February 26th.
Yeah, so like next week.
Oh, okay. It usually creeps into March. Okay, so we've got it's starting February 26th. Is that a Thursday? Yeah, typically Thursday through Sunday. And it's been called all sorts of things, including the Underwear Olympics. A few weeks ago, we saw the contrast of this, which would be, to me, it's the East-West Shrine Game, the old Senior Bowl, where the players are actually competing on a football field, not just during the game, but competing against each other in practice throughout the week for NFL scouts to check out corner versus receiver, left tackle versus edge rusher, to see those actual football matchups. Now, this is the measurement process. How high can you jump? How fast can you run? How quickly can you navigate cones? And then we're going to put you through the mental rigors of what used to be the Wonderlic test, but interviews and so forth, to get those measurables and see your potential as athletes. So where do you stand on the combination of those two approaches?
I mean, I think that you need multiple data points to make a decision. Like most things are not just one item, logical foundations for any kind of thing. Sorry, I had to change something because I put the wrong name for one of the players for the Combine on the article. I got mixed up with an old player in their last name. Anyways, and I'm sorry if you heard that because that was my phone, which is supposed to be on vibrate. But I think that the more data points that you get, the more exposure that you get, the better picture of a player that you have. This is the same thing with recruiting. You know what I mean? Like you see a player one time and he can look like an All-American. I'm going to bring up an old favorite, Robert Burns, from the infamous, legendary Nike opening regional at American Heritage those many years ago as a freshman, rising high school sophomore. Then he put on such a show. It was the highest rated Spark score in the history of Spark scores to that point. Like we were leaving it was left-handed Terrell Pryor. Torrance Gibson. When the Carson Beck's younger brother, Jordan, was teaching him how to throw a football. And I was standing next to Bud Elliott with my iPad, took a picture or video of it. I don't know if I still have the video, but literally throw it, hey, like a 3-year-old. This is where your elbow goes. But everybody was going to this backfield to see this. You just kind of started to hear it on the wind. Hey, there's this freshman running back who's going crazy. So what? Now, if you would have based everything for Robert Burns off of that one day, I mean, that basically is what got him recruited to Miami and had a career. Like that one day, legendary. I mean, legendary. I was talking to my boy Mike Felder was there, Bud Elliott was there, Steven Nelson when he was back at Bleacher Report with Felder before he became the voice of the LA Dodgers. So many different recruiting people were there, and everyone was, oh my God. And if it was only that one day, then yeah, he's everybody's All-American. But then you start to see these other games, and a lot of these games he didn't play because he couldn't stay healthy, and you get a more well-rounded picture of the player. So all of that to say, it's the same thing with the NFL. Like you want to see, especially guys where you have questions about their ability, scheme fit, motivation, yada yada. You want to see them in as many instances as possible. So you're going to want to see them at the Senior Bowl and or Shrine Bowl, and then the Combine, and then their pro day, and then private workouts and things like that, on top of all the film that you're going to be studying. So I think that, honestly, all of the, to quote The Wire, which I just did my annual rewatch, all the pieces matter. It's not just one thing. And those are Robert Burns's career statistics. I'm telling you, and I know that I wrote about it at stateoftheu.com, it was the most incredible recruit camp combine performance most any of us had ever seen. And then he ends up being, I don't even want to call him just a guy, because he wasn't even just a guy. But if you would, again, been a single source decision maker, right? Off this one data point, he'd have looked that kind of one way. But if you put the whole picture together, then it maybe looks a little bit different. And, that's the process that we're going through with the NFL draft. So I think that everything fits.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got guys that were heck of college football players. They're really good players at the collegiate level, sometimes even legendary players that just don't measure up, and their game does not, of course, translate because of just running into swifter, more elite athletes on a regular basis that are everywhere and not just in pockets on a field. And you would think that would not happen as often as it does, but it certainly, just because if you can be one of the best in college, then why wouldn't you be one of the best in the NFL? You would think you would be just as exposed in college to some degree.
Yes and no. I mean, there's still just a degree of difficulty where it steps up. I mean, it doesn't matter where you come from. I mean, they're aliens. They're superhuman people. They're mutants out there at every position. And they're professionals, and they're working on their body. They're working on their abilities and everything. And yeah, I mean, it's just different quality, different leagues. Like literally, it's just like, yeah, you can't. It doesn't translate, and you don't have the and maybe something just doesn't go right or whatever. But like, yeah, there's just a leveling that happens where yeah, you might have done well on a really good team, but like when you got to carry your own and stand on your own too. Maybe not so much. So it does happen. And, some guys are just built for the college game, more for the pro game, because they are the same sport, but different iterations thereof. Like it is not the exact same game, especially when you talk about, just the spacing on the field, because the hashes are different, which changes the geometry everywhere. And like, it's similar, but not the same. And when you have the best athletes at every position, all of a sudden those guys who are kind of good, but then you take away that sophomore linebacker that you picked on, right? You got them. They don't exist on the NFL roster. Now, if you get way down in injuries, like my Lions did in the playoffs last year, now, okay, fine. You're playing not the starting dudes, but still, those are pretty good guys. But you're not really just going to be able to do that. So, I mean, yeah, I get the fact that like it is kind of questionable or interesting that it happens where guys don't translate their performance up, but that happens in every industry.
And you just anecdotally gave a reason why I am astounded by whether it be the accuracy of the recruiting rankings in high school transitioning to college, or the lack of accuracy of the selections in the NFL draft. Depending on your criteria, I think it's been determined basically that less than half of the first round are successful selections when you're selecting 21, 22-year-old, basically grown men who have competed against, a very high level of play versus high school athletes that could be from wherever, in the middle of nowhere, not competing against anyone, but just athletically catch people's eye and measure out. And then there's all that growth that occurs between 16 and 19 or 20.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore I would expect, because of the resources involved, the expertise, and then also that advantage of evaluating 21, 22-year-olds versus 16 and 17-year-olds, that the NFL draft would be more of a exact science than it is.
That's fair. But I mean, you're also projecting some for what they've done and what they can do. And I think that there's a really big emphasis for me on scheme fit at especially the NFL level, because you're not that matters. That matters. And, I don't know that everybody takes that into account always, but such as
And with the NFL Combine, obviously, the higher the pick, the more they have to risk. Therefore, we more and more see guys sit out certain activities. So that being said, there are obviously guys that show up that really need to show out and perform well. Do you think that this Combine is particularly important for anyone?
It's a good question. So just to run down everything, I don't know if we talked about it when it happened, but there are 10 Miami Hurricanes who are going to the Combine. The list is as follows. Well, let me see if I can post this up. And as you share that, Mario 23 and 6 in the last 2 years, so says Mr. HD. This is true and correct, my good friend. Here is the list of players going to the Combine for Miami: Carson Beck, CJ Daniels, Francis Mauigoa, Markel Bell, Anez Cooper, Ruben Bain Jr., Akeem Mesidor, Wesley Basaint, Keontae Scott, and Jacoby Thomas, not Dean. That's the one that I did. Actually, if I refresh this, hopefully it gives me. It didn't refresh. Phooey. Whatever. Anyways, Jacoby Thomas, number 8. Thomas, not Dean. I know that he was a former player for a different team. I apologize. That was brain fart by me. Anyways, of these 10 Miami Hurricanes, including Jacoby Thomas, not Dean Thomas, I know I put the wrong thing, whatever. I think probably Markel Bell, Anez Cooper, and Wesley Basaint. Those are the 3 who can really make themselves some money at the Combine. I think it's debatable or depending for Mesidor and Scott. I know that they are both in that 24, 25 age range when they will be rookies next year. But both of them are very, very, very good players. And more Mesidor than Scott, but we've seen them linked in the top 50. So lots of mock drafts have Mesidor in the first round, probably in the late teens to 20s. I've seen Keontae Scott in a couple of mock drafts in like the mid-late 20s in the first round. So depending on what they do and how they do at those selected activities, they could also earn some money. Really interested for Markel Bell because he's massive. 6'9", 340, doesn't really have bad weight. He was in the background of Cam Ward's pro day last year at Miami, and every single team sent people over to talk to him like, yo, why are you not working out? He's like, well, I'm not a draft prospect for this year. Is it what? So how he does, I think, is going to be really key. And he had that one bad rep at the Senior Bowl against James Houston from Michigan. And he didn't overset his, so he was pass set to the left. his right foot slipped as he came over. He tried to kind of put him too close, caught a little bit of the edge, slipped, and you're getting a bull rush at the same time. So you lose your balance and you get a bull rush, pancake, you get run over, ooh, kind of a thing.
Yep.
He played really, really well outside of that. But it's one of those things where you get disrespected in public and the retraction is very quiet, where it's, front page news, but then buried on page 7 of the newspaper. It's that kind of a thing for me. So with how he has played the last 2 years and the rest of that week, now I think how he performs in Indianapolis is going to be key. Our team's going to see him as moldable clay, but more ready than not, which is maybe a second or top of the 3rd round pick? Or is he grade A malleable clay that is it still needs to be rolled and refined before we even get to forming it into a pot vase or cup, being like, a late 3rd, 4th, 5th round kind of a guy. So I think that he's kind of the most polarizing for me, just because I think the variance is high for where he could go and like what his outlook is, Markel. Wesley, I think, needs to show something physically. I think that he needs to test well athletically to sound like Magic Johnson on that with the extra syllable. But yeah, he really needs to show that he's an athlete at that position. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on those guys. I'll talk about it a little bit more as we get closer to it. And Mr. HD, man, we made it, baby. But yeah, so it will be interesting. I do not expect Carson Beck to throw at the combine because if you don't have to, then why would you as a quarterback? Unless he kind of zags where most prospects zig and he says, look, I know that y'all had questions about my arm. I know I missed the spring. I know that this is a reconstructed elbow. I'm going and playing, and I'm doing every single rep. I just don't see it. I think that he's going to want to be in a controlled situation at the University of Miami with receivers that he knows, in the passing skeleton, but we'll see.
Will Sky's super chat contribution. Appreciate you. When you Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, now you have to say Miami. We are a top 5 team for the next 5 years, I think.
I mean, I would love it to be true. I think top 10 at a minimum, but like the trajectory of this program is very high, and we're going to be pushing for hopefully, a top recruiting class in this current year, and continue to add players through the portal and things to round out this roster. I don't think that we're done yet. I think that there are going to be some guys coming in later after spring. That's just my gut feeling, especially just looking at where the roster stands. I think that there's a couple holes to plug. But yeah, I mean, people laughed when Mario did the Frank Underwood from House of Cards, after that game, and he almost cracked a smile. You see how the trajectory of these programs in the state of Florida, and he did that. Man, Mario talking that stuff to the previous point, 23-6 in the last 2 years. We lost 6 games by a total of 23 points. You know what I mean? Like we played in the national championship game. We're 41 yards away from the championship. Won 10 games last year. We're probably going to have multiple first-round picks this year, regardless. I mean, just Bain and Mawinoa alone pretty much guarantee that. We got another top-flight quarterback coming in. We have retained most of the elite players from this roster that you wanted to retain. Like, yeah, there's a lot to like, man. So I think that it stands to reason. And, we went toe-to-toe with the best teams in the sport. We went on the road to A&M, who completely overlooked us, smacked them in the mouth. We go up against Ohio State, smack them in the mouth. Go up against Ole Miss, smack them in the mouth, and stood toe-to-toe, for my money, better than to be better than anybody all season against Indiana. Now, I know you're going to say, oh, that's a moral victory. Again, we had the ball 41 yards away from a championship. Like, I'm not just saying, oh, it was, what was the line? Like 9.5? I didn't say it was 28 to 17, and it was just a little bit over the number, but it was kind of, bro, we had the ball right there. So, yeah, I think that I don't think that it's unreasonable for you to say that, John Kennedy. I'm sorry, Will Sky. And I'm looking forward tomorrow continuing to build a program that can fulfill your statement.
If anyone on that list is teetering, it would be Bama. They've lost 8 games the last 2 years, and they have looked awful on some of those occasions.
They lost to last year's Florida State. Like, I mean, come on. And I knew that, and I said it in the preseason. If it's going to happen, it's because they hired Malzahn because his specialty is beating Alabama. And lo and behold, but, hey.
Then they had little else after that. Paolo, I may shed a tear when Reuben Bain Jr. and Francis Maui-Noa face off in the NFL for the first time. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. But I mean, look, there's plenty of pro canes. Shout out to Elijah Arroyo, a new Super Bowl champion with the Seattle Seahawks. Andy Borregales scored in that game because he's the kicker for the Patriots. So, he did that. DJ Dallas just got re-signed in Jacksonville, so he's still knocking around. Denzel Perryman's still out there. I mean, there's still plenty of pro canes and everything. But, yeah, those boys going up against each other, that'll be, it'll just be a nostalgic moment. It'll just be like, man, remember we were recruiting these kids as high school sophomores and juniors, man? Remember when they picked Miami when we were 5-7 and no one else would and nobody believed? And they came here, and now look at them all grown, and they're doing it. It's just, I mean, I don't have, personal children, but it's just that kind of, I would assume that kind of feeling when you see your own kids growing up and things like that. So, yeah, it'll be great, but yeah, I can't wait to see where they land and them and the other draft eligible guys, and just see how it moves.
Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at the Voice of College Football. Make it a date, and we of course will see you back here throughout the off season as we get you set for spring practice. Has a date been announced? I should say, for spring practice.
A date has not been announced. My supposition is it's going to be somewhere in the first week of March. So like 2nd, 3rd, 4th for the start. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Spring break is Saturday the 7th through Sunday the 15th. And in the past, Miami has started spring practice before spring break, gone away for the week, and then come back for the remaining sessions. So I don't see any reason to change off of that kind of structure. Otherwise, you leave it a little bit late into March. The only thing that could maybe push it back would be, in my mind, if Mario were to want to wait to fill the staff before spring. But even without full-time staffers in all of the available coaching and off-field positions, there are plenty of people in the building with experience coaching those positions to a high level of excellence where they will not be just floating. It's not like, a teacher leaves on maternity leave and they're just like, cool, we're going to put a 20-year-old college kid sub in there and you guys watch movies all day. You know what I mean? Like, there are people in the building who have, for example, Corey Woodell, the tight ends coach, left to go to Ole Miss as their tight ends coach and co-offensive coordinator. We don't have a tight ends coach right now, but who still works in Miami? Steve Field, who's coached tight ends at Miami and played tight end at Miami and other places previously. So I know it's different than executive director of recruiting, but hey, for a couple of weeks, we need you on the field, big man. You know what I mean? Like, someone like that who has coached the position and coached it very well at either Miami and elsewhere, those individuals exist in the building still. So yeah, but if Mario wanted to wait fully, I could see it, but that's the only reason I would see it not going in the first week of March.
So let's stay on that track since you went in that direction, because since the last time we convened, there have been some coaching changes and guys running off to the NFL. You mentioned the tight ends coach, the running back coach, who obviously had a very successful stint in recruiting and developing. And then I have misplaced my notes. The other guy ran off to Ole Miss, and I can't remember who that was.
No, that was the first one that I mentioned, the tight ends coach. The others were Matt Merritt, the running backs coach, is now the running backs coach for the Arizona Cardinals in the NFL. Joining him out in Glendale will be Zach Etheridge, the cornerbacks coach and defensive pass game coordinator. He has gone to the NFL also. So there's 3 position coaches who have gone for promotions. I mean, 2 of them went up to the NFL and one goes to, technically lateral, but the co-OC tag, even if it's just for compensation, is still a promotion from what he had here in Woodille. And then 2 front office staffers left. One, Devontae Taylor, offensive lineman formerly at Florida State, had worked here in personnel department. He is now the new GM at East Carolina. Taylor, I forget, Edwards, I believe. He's bounced around in player personnel, but he was like the lead assistant, the number 2 in that role here. He is now over at Florida State trying to help them not be a dumpster fire. And then most recently, the lead athletic trainer for football has departed for the New York Giants. There's some positions both on the field and off, that are around. But in the world of, in recruiting in the front office areas, either we promote internally or we bring in somebody to replace those guys, but it's not at the top. It's in the C-suite, but not at the top of the terminal top of the organization. Position coaches, you can promote from within. People are talking about Terry Jefferson being the cornerbacks coach. He has worked with the slot receiver or slot defensive backs here for a couple of years. So he was working with Keontae Scott. And, so people are saying maybe he can get a full-time job on the staff. So maybe that's an option. Or, again, we hire people from other places all the time. So, there are a couple of spots open, like I said, 3 on the coaching staff and then others off the field. But we will make it happen.
The voice of college football across the network, and specifically here on the Miami channel, is brought to you by FanDuel. And also you can catch the audio version of Cam and myself on Wednesday nights. You can do that on your favorite audio platform, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and others. And we also have Miami shows coming your way on Mondays and Thursdays, I believe, are the times. Mondays and Thursdays with our guys Shay and Jaden. That's Miami Primetime, and the call-in show, that's Monday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
Los Santos.
And the basketball team has a big matchup coming up against Virginia, I see.
Yeah. Really we're in the final push here. Just had another close come from behind win against Virginia Tech last night, 1 by 1. Another 1-point win, which is great. 21-5, 10-3 in the ACC. Really, 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 really want back those 2 terrible losses to Cal and Florida State. You got Virginia coming up on the road. You got to find a way. So between Virginia, SMU, and Louisville in the last 5 games, I think you need to win 2 of those 3 to really be comfortable for the tournament. I know that we're 20-5. It's not 20-3 as it says there, or 21-5 in basketball. But we didn't really play well against the ranked teams on our schedule, and we just need more quality wins. So I know that 21-5 is a great record at present. True. Congratulations to Jay Lucas, the winningest first-year men's basketball coach in Miami Hurricanes history. Love to see that. We swept the state of North Carolina last week with Carolina and NC State, home and road. Need to do the same with Virginia this week. There's some other big games coming up. So really need to just stick to it, continue to find ways to win. It's been a different, it's looked different in some different days or different games, but we are going to keep pushing. And I think at least 3, but I would say probably more comfortably 4+ wins from now till Selection Sunday puts Miami in the tournament. And that means, that includes ACC tournament. But yeah, like 4 to 5 more wins, especially if you win 2 of the Virginia, SMU, Louisville trio in the regular season, should get it done. But we cannot rest on our laurels. We have to keep pushing because we've beaten a lot of quad 3, quad 4 teams in this basketball season. So we need to continue to rack up these good wins when we can get them to strengthen our resume.
Falconer taking us back to football. Appreciate you, Falconer. Of course, Miami coaches going on to the NFL helps recruiting other coaches.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's exactly, it's just like players, like you want to see players go pro, and then, okay, that makes you confident that you can do the same. It's, it's the Jeremiah Smith conundrum. You all know how that goes. But this is the kind of brain drain that happens when you are a successful program. And if you're really about the development and growth of people, you actually want that. You want a Greg Schiano to be promoted to be a head coach at Rutgers. You want Rob Chudzinski to step up to the NFL. You want yada, 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 yada down the line. You know what I mean? So, and I bemoaned that fact for a long time. For several years, said, when was the last time that anybody came and got a Miami coach at any position? It didn't happen because we didn't really have quality people, but now we have that. So yeah, it's a good thing. And I know Mario, I believe Mario's going to be here to stay. Like, I don't think that he's looking at this as like let me win here and then go to the NFL. But if everybody else is looking at Miami like that, like that's how Miami got great. We were a 5-year and out program. Look at Schnellenberger. At the genesis of Miami becoming a championship program. I had my plan. I went and recruited my quarterback. Cool. We won a national championship. See ya. Jimmy Johnson. Bye. Dennis Erickson. Bye. Butch Davis. Bye. You know what I mean? This is not a program that has ever been of the formation in terms of longevity of a Joe Paterno at Penn State, excuse me, of a Bobby Bowden at Florida State, of Bill Snyder at Kansas State. And I know that, fine, but I'm just talking about the longevity. This has never been that program. Even for head coaches, it's been 5 and out. Get your championship and go somewhere else. And assistants going tons and tons and tons of places. Whether that's Ed Ordron, whether that's Schiano, whether that's the 2 Stoops brothers who worked here, whether that's Chud, whether that's George McDonald, the wide receivers coach who bounced around in the NFL for a long time in other colleges. Bro, like, I'm good with that. So, instead of just trying to hoard talent in that kind of a way, let's grow and develop them and then replace them with other great guys. Look, who was defensive backs coach before Etheridge and Harris got here? Jamil Adai, who came from Georgia, who went to the Bills, like conveyor belt. Like, run that back over and over and over. So yeah, that's where we should be. That's where we are. We're going to move forward.
Speaking of another name that could be on that conveyor belt at some point, I would like to get your thoughts on one Corey Heatherman, because obviously the defense was so much better this year. How much of it do you think was Corey Heatherman? How much of it was transfer portal bringing in better players?
I mean, it was a lot. I mean, both things impacted the success, but I'm going to put more of it on Heatherman. Even if it's just from a mentality standpoint of like a clarity and focus of this is who we are, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to go do it. I mean, but I'm not going to discount adding the players because, Keontae Scott and Jacoby Thomas and Xavier Lucas are like, hey, we, I mean, shoot, even a Mo Toure who's back again, and David Blay, who, might have had a couple penalty issues, but I mean, hey, man, yeah, we had a lot of turnover and additions on defense, but it started up top. And Corey Heatherman is on a fast track to the job of his dreams. I can't tell you what that job is. I can't tell you at what level of football that is. but he's on a light rail there. I mean, he's wearing a jetpack there. So for my money, he was the Broyles. I would have put him for the Broyles Award because of the growth in performance of Miami's defense. I'm not taking anything away from Brian Haynes. Congratulations to him. He was the coordinator of the defense of the national champions. Worthy completely. For me, it's Heatherman. And Heatherman won the fan vote because we were atrocious last year and incredible this year. And, you know, his pressers are really starting to feel more senatorial, you know, more like, hey, like I'm, you know, I can be the face of the program, and I will be when someone hires me. So, yeah, I think that I had high expectations for him after seeing what his Minnesota defense did in 2024. Exceeded even my wildest dreams of what the performance was going to be from him and the defense. It is my sincere hope that we get him for 2 more seasons. I think that's unrealistic, and I'm prepared that this will be his last season in Coral Gables because you could just, like, the dude has it. The dude got the juice. You could tell, man. Like, when I go to the games, I go to those pressers, you know, and so he doesn't do a presser after the game, but I've seen him walking around and everything. I watch those Monday pressers and live tweet him and everything. He has a tangible presence to him. And you could tell after a couple of games, it started, his outward persona tweaked in just that little bit from I'm just here to do a job to we're doing this job with excellence and I'm preparing the road for me to go wherever it is that I want to go in the world of football. So, yeah, truly incredible. Falconer, yeah, pay him whatever hey, I'm good with it. Like, just, blow the bank, give him a raise or 2 or 3. It is what it is. In my perfect world, we have him for 2 more years. But I'm fully prepared for this to be his last year and then wish him well wherever else he goes.
George is in here throwing haymakers. He's going all in.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything behind those haymakers, but he's throwing haymakers.
Yeah. It's like fighting your little cousin. You just put your hand out on their head and they're kind of a thing, but whatever. Paulo. Heatherman is to Cristobal what Rhett Lashley was for Manny Diaz. I can see it. I mean, in terms of a very high-performing coordinator who is ready for a head coaching job like tomorrow, yeah, I could see that. I'm interested to see where, how it continues and where Heatherman ends up going eventually. I'm not holding my breath and I'm not trying to run there and anything. I'm not trying to kick him out. No. Like I said, I would like him to stay for, past 26, at least for 2 more years. But just with how good this defense is and just his rising star, he's just in the spotlight so much now. I expect both Brian Haynes and Corey Heatherman to really get looks for head coaching jobs in the very near future.
I see the comparison and correlation there, but obviously Heatherman would have to go a distance to be able to catch Mario Cristobal as a head coach, whereas Rhett Lashley has already caught and in many ways surpassed. And it's easy to see where he will most likely continue that ascension past Manny Diaz.
Right, but just in the comparison of a very qualified coordinator coaching under a head coach at Miami, sure. But yeah, past that, one of those things is not like the other. But yeah, no, Heatherman's good, man. I really, I'm here for it. And remember, at this time, or just before this time last year, Corey Heatherman was not a name that we were talking about for the defensive coordinator role. So I continue to see people on social media saying if we don't hire Clinton Portis to coach running backs, the Miami Hurricanes football program will completely fail and fall off the face of the earth, which would make George happy, but maybe relax and know that there are incredible coaches all across the landscape, lots of whom's names you don't know. And I don't know either, because I'm not sitting here. I couldn't tell you the secondary coach at Coastal Carolina. I'm not saying that we're going to hire that person, but like if we did and they were good, it's not a thing that I have categorical knowledge of. So like, I know that we all want who we want, but we're like John Kennedy, hey, from your lips to God's ears. We need Heatherman to stay just like Venables did at Clemson. He was there for 7 years before. Hey now. Hey now. You're an all-star. Get your game on. Go play. Like, if we can make that happen, yowzers. I would, yes, sign me up. Today, right now, February the 18th, 2026. 6 more years of Heatherman here? Man, listen. Give me that right now. I just don't see it. I don't. Like, yeah, this is a guy who just has continued to, I mean, he's a little bit of a job hopper, but like he's stepped up into bigger jobs every single time and done well, and then gone to a bigger pond and been a big fish, and then going to a bigger pond and continues to be that dude. Like, go look at where he's coached already. Like, you know, starting where he played at like D3 and then just bomb. And then he's at James Madison when they're kicking people's teeth in, and he goes here, and then he goes there, and then he's at Rutgers, then he's at Minnesota. Now he's like, I don't think that Corey Heatherman's made for the ground, yo. Like, and you can't hold him down, bro. Like, that guy is upwardly mobile, and for good freaking reason, bro. But yeah. Eddie Delva throwing out a name for running backs coach, Mike Hart from Boston College. Mike Hart from the University of Michigan, number 20. But yeah, is he a guy who can coach running backs who could do it here? Absolutely. I mean, but so was Matt Merritt. So was, Thomas Brown when he came down from Georgia. So were so many other, people. So, I mean, is that an option? Sure. I guess. Because I think that pretty much everybody's an option, but I'm not going to sit here and like pine for a single specific name in person because who knows?
Yeah, to your point, the depth of knowledge to go to every position coach across the landscape is beyond us and beyond 99%. And there are some really good coaches out there that we are unaware of right now. Yes, we all tend to gravitate to names. And Mike Hart did a heck of a job when he was the running backs coach at Indiana. They were churning out NFL backs at that time.
Was there with, what was his name, Tevin Coleman?
Tevin Coleman, yes. They had one or two others. I believe they had a string of 3 straight there.
Okay. All right. I mean,
yeah,
sure. Like, I'm not going to say that he's not an option, but again, like if it ends up to the point, if it ends up being somebody else, I'm not going to, be down in the dumps over it just because it wasn't a name that I had bandied about or thought of or whatever, because like I'm not the most knowledgeable of every single coach in the world of college football, and I would not lie to you guys and say that I am. Ooh, good query, Eddie Delva, bringing it now at this last little bit of the show. Thoughts on Cole McConaughey switching to tight end? Yeah, so this is a thing that I'd heard about maybe about a week ago. Really kind of just coming to the forefront now. But Cole McConaughey was like a 3-star, 4-star defensive end from Spain Park, Alabama. Played as a true freshman in 24, redshirted this past year, and moving into the spring is flipping sides of the ball from defensive end, to tight end. I think that his journey at the University of Miami is quickly moving towards its conclusion. sorry to say. He's a big body, 6'5", 245, 250-ish. But he got recruited and developed over at defensive end. And I think he saw that right away. Third Scroggins, who was a true freshman this past year, he played in the rotation the entire season, did not redshirt at defensive end. Hayden Lowe, everybody's All-American 5-star last year, would have been in that rotation, but tore his knee up. And by all accounts is looking incredibly healthy and arguably maybe even more explosive than he was in high school coming back. So I know that he's not at the forefront of people's brains, but Hayden Lowe is going to reassert himself as like next up. Then you get a Damon Wilson in and you bring back, Lightfoot and everything. And there's, guys in this class as well, Shari Charles, the Lafayette kid, DeAnthony Lafayette from Orlando, going to be pushing for playing time. And with the recruiting and then the development of those players that you've brought in, notice how I listed 7-8 dudes and didn't say anything about Cole McConaughey. So, he played at a time when there was playing time for him, but yeah, I don't really see it. So in moving to tight end, first of all, that supports my stance from the beginning that I really wanted Brock Schott to stay, but whatever. But yeah, Miami is throwing bodies at the problem, like quite literally, because we need better performance. I would put my money on, Luka Gilbert, Gavin Mueller, and Israel Briggs, and Elijah Lofton, fine, in the tight end position. But hey, I think maybe McConaughey can become that Cam McCormick, Alex Bowman, mainly blocking kind of a dude. We do play with 3 tight ends in some formations, and he's looking like I'm 8th or 9th or 10th on the defensive end depth chart, but I'm really big. I'm pretty strong. And if I can learn how to block a little bit, I can be the 3rd blocking tight end or the 2nd blocking tight end in some of these formations. Like Cam McCormick was, in college for 37 years. And then at the ripe young age of 53, like he moved immediately into the scouting department for the Patriots. He wasn't incredible, but he played a role, right? If you're Cole McConaughey, you're looking at that and saying, if I really grind, I can find myself some playing time in that way, which I think is probably the best case scenario. So yeah, I think that it's noteworthy in that, like, it is a position change. But I don't think that it's going to be it's not going to be Jimmy Graham coming over from the basketball team and all of a sudden having all ACC season and a Hall of Fame career. It's not going to be that. But sure, it'll be fine. Hopefully he uses his physicality well. And that'll be a thing that keeps him around the roster and maybe gets him into some playing time. But, if this is a really majorly impactful move, then, and I hate to be pessimistic like this, but if it's a major impact, lots of things went wrong.
We are presented by FanDuel here at the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you being here. And again, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Be our grassroots promotional team, folks. You can drag your friends and family and all those good people that you know on social media in here on Wednesdays as we take you through the off season. And of course, spring practice is just weeks away. We will preview and take you through spring practice in Coral Gables. Well, I am out of material.
No, I was just looking at the end. CFC Kane fan, can he block on punts? Yeah, I know. Grinds my gears. I was actually having a conversation at the coffee shop about that this morning, unfortunately, because I was wearing, not this, I was wearing my Miami windbreaker this morning, but it is what it is. Paulo, going to just wrap it up here. 3 guaranteed top 5 picks. First round picks, not top 5. I don't think that both Maui Noah and Bain are guaranteed top 5. I don't think that either is guaranteed top 5. I think that they should be. I think that Bain should be, for sure. I don't think they're guaranteed top 5. So I'm just going to edit this lightly as I'm reading it, but 3 guaranteed top 15 picks in 2-year span has been a long time since having depth like that. Yeah, it is. But this is what we are building and building it in the right way. And, excited to see where it goes and all that stuff. Hold on. I thought there was something else I wanted to say. Guess not. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter at Underwood Sports, at The State of the U. The website is stateoftheu.com. I know that I have been derelict in my content creation duties for a couple of weeks, but every now and then I got to take a breather. So I've taken that breather. I'll get back and have some stuff up. You know what? I'm going to say it in public, so I hold myself accountable. I'm going to write something tonight that will be up tomorrow. There you go. So it has been said in public, so you have to look at that and everything. So I cannot procrastinate any further. On that note, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. Mark, thank you.
As always, Cam, it's always a pleasure, always an honor. And everyone, on your way out, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you back here next Wednesday at 7 Eastern.
Bye, guys.